First of all, I really love the movie, and I love the location. Obviously, the facetious question is there is no Four Seasons hotel right between shoots. What was it like actually shooting in location, not within the confines of a soundstage? Where was the location? Did it look as harrowing and also beautiful as it looked on screen? So, can you guys speak to that?
Yes, it was northwest Scotland. We stayed in a hotel called the Geirr Hotel. Shout out to the staff at the Geirr Hotel who looked after us for 6 weeks. And every location had to be within a 45-minute drive of the hotel, except the caves, the exterior caves. They were an hour and a half drive and then an hour and a half hike. And oh no, 2 hour drive and a 45-minute hike to get there with all the equipment on our backs. So yeah, and yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's desolate. Yes, it's looks dangerous and mythic and primeval and all these lovely words. And yes, it's very difficult to shoot there. When the weather turns on you and Mother Nature's not happy, she lets you know. And these guys can attest to that.
Well, speak. Can you guys talk about not just the elements, but not just learning that language, but also each of you have such a role that is just so really kind of iconic and wonderful. What was it like to actually get the role? And now, with a little bit of time passed, how have you guys processed just I just this experience? Because it must have been a very sublime experience for both of you. I mean, you won an award, and I mean, you guys were both great in the. So talk, I guess, talk about that.
Go for it,
Um,
Sam.
it was incredible. I feel like so when I started the film, when I got to the film, I got a phone call from Andrew, and he said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, don't be nervous because if Beyah was a 19-year-old girl, from the Midlands." Like, imagine you're that. Basically, you are that. So everything you're feeling is what Beyah's feeling. So I kind of went into it whenever I was nervous. I had that strength knowing that maybe Beyah was nervous. And by the end of it, I felt like just I had so much confidence and I felt so like sure of myself. And I think like that's still in me today. People say that they take like little bits of the people they play away with them because they aren't really different people. They're just like parts or facets of themselves. And I feel like I grew so much in my resilience and my strength during that shoot. And yeah, I definitely am so grateful for that experience. It was such a wonderful experience.
And for you, kid, I mean, your character, unfortunately, I can relate to your character as far as how do I proceed in this world. I,
Mm.
when I'm scared, I don't know how to proceed. I'm not a Bea. What was it like for you just to connect to this role? Because it's something that I think people can also latch on to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a character that's a little bit different from a lot of the things I end up normally playing. I often play like the guy with quips who's not kind of like, he's not going to waste time worrying about something. He will act and probably do something extreme, like, kill someone. Whereas Geirr is not that person at all. If anything, we're living in a world where there is no real time for, we're far away from talking about mental health. So if somebody goes through something, he's the person that grieves. He's the person that kind of, you know, if the pregnant lady falls down and injures herself, she just gets up and moves on. He's going to be like, "Are you okay?" And so it was all about building empathy and all about kind of really. I think Geirr's a great kind of point of view character for how the tribe work, like how the gang works, and that you feel that this is a kind of family plus. Um, and I think for me, it was just about making sure that you could really see the dynamics between everybody and how do I fit into this or how do I take part in that relationship, whether it's my brother or my nephew or my dear friend or whoever. I think the main thing was about having an emotional sense of gravity of like, yeah, somebody's died, something awful has happened. Before we just move into the next thing, really make it hit home that this horrible thing has happened. Because the audience are going to experience that. And the hero might leap off into the next thing. But the person who's like, typically the sidekick is going to be like, excuse me, what? and might take issue with it, right? If you're going to give the ring to Frodo and send him off his way, there are also hobbits there going, where are we going? And I think I think it's useful to have that. I think you need a collection of personalities. Not everybody has the same instincts or drive or ambition or wants. And I think we do a really good job of within the entire group seeing different avenues.
Andrew, some people might take you to task for the moniker Out of Darkness. They might see it as generic, but if you really dig into the story, that just for me it was a resonant title. Can you just talk about, just without giving too much away, what Out of Darkness is about? Kit was mentioning empathy. There is a length we can go to as far as surviving until the next day, but then we must also think outside the box as well. Can you? I really love the title, so can you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, it speaks obviously to the literal meaning of, these people need firelight. They need fire to stay warm. They need fire to eat, and they need fire to protect themselves. So that thing of what is coming out of the darkness towards them, what is that antagonistic force that they don't understand? This thing that they've stepped in its territory, and now they'll pay the price. But also, the darkness is a metaphorical darkness, and it's the darkness that is inside them. And the way that fear of difference, fear of things we don't comprehend or don't understand, how we can demonize it and then we can destroy it. So it speaks to that darkness as well. And really the film's trying to get to a place where at least one of the characters is trying to come out of that, is trying to break that pattern. And that character, played very wonderfully by Safia, is comprehending, can we do that? Can we try again? Can we break the cycle of fear leading to violence, leading to survival, and just that really that sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. So that for me is what the title is. And it also speaks as well to the fact that it's, again, this is a spoiler, but it speaks to our species, Homo sapiens, taking its quote unquote rightful place at the top of the food chain. And so coming out of that darkness and that obscurity, because, for 300,000 years in Western Europe, Neanderthals were running the show. And then we turned up, and within 18,000 years, the Neanderthals were dead. So that speaks to us and our place, and us, climbing to the top of the food chain, and how we got there and how we stay there. So there's an inherent darkness within us that the film seeks to explore through horror.
So Out of Darkness in theaters here stateside, but it was released maybe late 2022 in the UK.
No, it's still will be released in the UK 2 weeks later. It was originally called The Origin. But Ava DuVernay's film's called Origin, and we live in a world of Google algorithms, and we didn't want to cause confusion. I don't want Ava DuVernay. I don't want angry letters from Ava DuVernay fans who picked the wrong movie. It's not a world I want to be in.
How excited, as far as just the dialogue regarding Beyah, what kind of reaction have you received regarding not just your performance and that award-winning performance, but just in the future, that it's a character that so many people can really look up to no matter what the consequence? How does that make you feel, just to be a part of that type of universe? And
so cool. So cool. I think it shows obviously that if you abuse women and children, bad things happen, really bad things happen. And it's really cool to be able to play, because she's a kid, she's a child. She at the start of that film, she's 16 years old, maybe 15 years old. She's really young. And it's that thing of people are placing all of these things from society onto her, and she's experiencing all this brutality, and she's expected to do this one thing that she doesn't even understand what it is yet, but she's looking around her and choosing the bits that work for her and the bits that are going to make her survive. And maybe she makes some questionable perhaps decisions in the light of trying to survive, but I think to have played such a strong and powerful and emotionally in touch, just like a person, basically, to play a person. I think if I'd watched that film as a kid, I would have been like, wow, women are so cool. So I'm really, really, really glad that I got to do that. It still amazes me that Ruth is just such an incredible writer, and I'm so grateful for that character. I think she's really cool.
And final question, just a sort of a round robin here. Can each of you name one of your all-time favorite films, and what is it about the specific film that resonates with you? So,
Alien. Just
Uh,
get in these early doors.
yeah, it just
We all
influenced
watched
you.
it as a group,
Oh,
didn't we?
oh, really?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I saw that film way too young, and some films are just burned onto your retina for all time, and there's a lot of structural comparisons you can make between Alien and Out of Darkness, because Oliver Ruth and I, we just adore that film, and it was the first time I became aware of, not it's a great story, it's well made, but it's the first time I became aware of what the director does, and just how Ridley Scott uses every tool in his utility belt to, to tell this amazing story and build this world and make characters that you believe in, and and freak you out and scare you and make you laugh and make you. It's just gangbusters. I love that movie.
Okay, cool. You guys?
Are you pointing at me?
Yeah, Kit. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, ooh, uh, hmm, only because I talked about it the other day. I have such a love for the Magnificent Seven. Just the old school with Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen. I think it's an old school longer Hollywood film, but it's really compact, and there's obviously some people are in it more than others, but there's seven people, and you get to know all of them, and there's one quest, and it all kicks into gear, and everything has a resolution, and there's no gaps. I think there's stories that have like plot holes and loose ends. I always struggle with. I think, am I like, oh, okay, so is there a sequel or a spin-off? Because if there isn't, you should have tied that up. And I think I love ensemble casts. I think this film in particular, like, there's six of us, and there's no loose ends. There's questions, but there's no loose ends. And I think that's kind of the most interesting kind of storytelling, when you take a group of unknown characters and you do something with them.
So amazing. And finally, you're
Very hard question.
sorry.
I love, there's a film called I, Daniel Blake by Ken
Oh,
Loach.
of course,
I
yes.
really like that film. I think I love watching anything that makes you think and feels real, and you leave with like a feeling in your body, I mean, I love watching all films. They don't have to be like as real as and important in terms of like their messaging as Ken Loach's films, but I think it's a brilliant film.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. And before I go, Kit, just character, that Robert Vaughn character in the Magnificent Seven, he's a little bit, people think of him as a coward, but that's a really interesting performance. So funny. When I'm watching the movie, I was thinking of the Robert Vaughn performance regarding your role as well. So
Yes, love it.
I'll take it. I will take that. Thank you so much.
love the
Thank
film.
you. You don't know what that means to me.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't
So,
know.
okay. So now thank you guys so much for your time. Really love the film. So,
Thank you, Greg.
Thank
Such
you.
great questions. Thank you.
all right. Take care.
Thank you.